Speak to the fact that now a lot of these declarations of emergencies are going by the wayside. Even our governor has now said the emergency is over and it will end on the 15th at 11:59 p.m. In other words, into the 16th. Not only do I want to get your opinion on why that's happening now, but I'm wondering if that is going to affect any of the funding that a lot of these counties I've seen are getting from COVID relief. Will that, in fact, stop some of the federal funding and influence or not?
It's going to affect the funding, the stream of funds for sure. I mean, a lot of things are going to get affected in the state of Iowa because of the ending of this so-called emergency. And it's going to include lax rules with regards to people getting certain permits and licensing that were made lax. I mean, there's all kinds of, we have a Byzantine system, for the, decades and decades, layers and layers of bureaucracy. And it's an emergency, and there's about 30 things that get all, we don't have to do this during emergency, we have to do this. All that's got to be rewound, let alone the funding that you just mentioned. My concern, and I'm going to start, we're going to start asking some questions of our county supervisors to get into the weeds on this, is there plans afoot, concepts afoot, to say we're going to declare our own emergency in our county and let's set aside the governor's emergency declaration. We have our own. After 9/11, there's 3,100 counties in America, and because of the Patriot Act, every county in America got their own emergency management agency, their own little FEMA, the EMA, where they are in their county. And most people don't even know that there's an EMA in their county, or how it's funded, or who sits on the board, or who appoints the people that sit on the board, and what kind of authority they have. We have a huge facility that was built on the back of taxpayers that is can withstand a category 7 tornado, and it's got the whole big star chamber. I mean, I actually have a video I did of it years ago when they opened it up, and the local FBI, the local CIA, the local DEA, all of the acronyms of all the law enforcement have access to it. So if there's ever an emergency, this is where they go where they can monitor everything, and it's very special, very, very special, this EMA. And these guys are in my view, I'm concerned that they're getting ready to say, hey, how can we, if we have this kind of a plea and a cry from our local hospital directors, and we're told these statistics are what they are, what happens if we have an emergency locally and the governor doesn't recognize? We need to declare our own. And this is why you need to know who your sheriff is in your county as well. So we're going to be paying close attention to that, Jason. Very close attention to it.
Well, I think that is something we need to pay close attention to, because we do have these out of control, unaccountable federal programs that most people are completely unfamiliar with. You mentioned Assange. You mentioned the crackdown of the freedom of press. I've talked about signature reduction. The DHS has now changed their language to a have you seen this on their website yet? And I mean, this may be breaking for you. No. We're going to play the Berenson clip for you so we can talk about, the dangers of these things and why they're dangerous and why the data is in. But this is now the definition, okay, the summary definition of terrorism threats to the U.S. homeland. And first of all, the first part of the paragraph is extremely scary, but I'll take myself out of the way so the audience can read this. We'll blow it up a little bit for them as well. So, guys, I mean, I just want everybody to understand how scary this is. The proliferation of false or misleading narratives which sow discord or undermine public trust in U.S. government institutions. That is now number one. And if you actually look at the type of information that they are targeting, notice it is mis or disinformation. Now, disinformation would mean it's absolutely false. Misinformation, you could argue, would be some type of spin. But then it also includes malinformation. And malinformation, well, malinformation can be 100% correct. And it can just be harmful to those government institutions and narratives. Let me repeat that. Malinformation has no judgment whatsoever on its validity or whether it is true or not. And they have now put this on the books. So what this means is, if you are effective in showing people a truthful narrative that goes against the interests and sows discord or mistrust in U.S. government institutions, you are now a terrorist by definition, Todd. Your feelings.
So this is very chilling, Jason, and I'm going to need to get a link to this and look at it. So let's just understand the verb for a second. So, all right, how are they going to measure how discord and mistrust is sowed or disseminated or affected or whatever the word? I mean, really? How are you measuring that? Because seriously, this whole freaking paper that we published could be considered the terrorist act because we've sowed mistrust in our authorities, if you will, the so-called authorities. Because they're actually, this is to local hospital officials. They're not government necessarily, but the county government was involved in this, and so they're impacted by this. So wow, that's it's off the rails, Jason. It's complete off the rails. And thank goodness we have a governor who has some common sense and is removing that. I hope that we have some further common sense and that we put some more bumpers on our legislators and our governor so that the emergency declarations cannot be declared in the future. We had an interesting dynamic here in Scott County during the November election cycle. The CTCL, Center for Technical and Civic Life, the Zuckerberg bucks came through them, hundreds of millions of dollars, $400,000 landed here in Scott County. Our auditor took $400,000, did not have to get approval from the county supervisors because of a loophole in the county code, the county policies, and it went to court. Several people here sued him with the help of the Amistad Group in Chicago. And the judge ruled that it is county home rule. And I'm like, okay, there's a silver lining in here. County home rule. How about the next time a governor just decides to declare an emergency declaration for the whole state and uses whereas the World Health Organization at the beginning opening sentence of their declaration, next time that happens, how about we invoke that county home rule over that and say, no emergency declaration in this county. So what's good for the goose needs to be good for the gander. So I think that was a little bit of a silver lining, that ruling by that judge.
Well, I think rulings and judges are now just being ignored in mass as we've never seen before. For instance, a lot of people in the media right now are talking about how the mask mandates are leaving both California and New York. But it was weeks ago, a Nassau County judge not only ruled all the mask mandates, including the ones on your children, completely illegal, unconstitutionally, and totally unenforceable, opened up the floodgates for lawsuits, which are happening, by the way. In the last several weeks, I just want everybody to know, no one's telling you, massive lawsuits are happening because of those mandates. They just say appeal. And then on top of that, people still think there's a mask mandate in New York because that's what's being reported. That ends today, except for your children. Again, they're still targeting the children and in government buildings and institutes. This is an unelected dictator at the highest levels, Kelly Hochul. The new minion in New York City, Eric Adams, has gone along with all of it. I am deeply disgusted and disturbed. So, yes, we do need more and more lawfare because they're waging it against us, but I just want people to realize we're in an open-air prison. So, in other words, I go to court, okay, and I get convicted of murder. Number one, I was in jail waiting my trial. Number two, I just got convicted. They keep me in there. If I say appeal, I don't get let out. They don't let me out. So if a judge says all of this is unconstitutional, literally adjudges every single thing down the line, you don't just get to say appeal and mask everybody up. Yet that is exactly what has happened. Hey everybody, Jason Burmis here, and what you just saw was just a small portion of an hour-long discussion that I think was very important, very informative with Todd McGreevy of the River Cities Reader. Great publication, great website, and somebody that really has acted as print independent media for well over a decade, in fact, decades now. So much respect to Todd. If you want to see the whole thing uncensored, you know where to go. It's over at the Rockfin, rockfin.com/Jason Burmis, or you can now go to, I believe it's the infowarrior.podbean.com, and you can get the audio version. There's an RSS feed. I could really use followers there. We're trying to expand. I need your help. At the very least, make the free Rockfin account, make the free Podbean account, Follow me there and share the info. And if you want to go premium on Rockfin, subscribe to Jason Burmis. You get a ton of other great creators. So, guys, I love you. Hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you on the flip.